Guided materialist does not know that his very body is impermanent and that the attractions of home, land, and which are in relationship to that body are all temporary. Out of ignorance only, he thinks that everything is permanent. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The materialist thinks that persons engaged in Krishna consciousness are crazy fellows, wasting time by chanting Hare Krishna. But actually, he does not know that he himself is in the darkest region of craziness because of accepting his body as permanent. And in relation to his body, he accepts his home, his country, his society, and all other paraphernalia as permanent. This materialistic acceptance of the permanency of home, land, etc., is called the illusion of Maya. This is clearly mentioned here. Moha Priya Chetra Vasuni. Out of illusion only does the materialist accept his home, his land, and his money as permanent. Out of this illusion, the family life, national life, and economic development, which are very important factors in modern civilization, have grown. A Krishna conscious person knows that this economic development of human society is but temporary illusion. In another part of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the acceptance of the body as oneself, the acceptance of others as kinsmen in relationship to this body, and the acceptance of the land of one's birth as worshipable are declared to be the products of an animal civilization. When, however, one is enlightened in Krishna consciousness, he can use these for the service of the Lord. That is a very suitable proposition. Everything has a relationship with Krishna. When all economic development and material advancement are utilized to advance the cause of Krishna consciousness, a new phase of progressive life arises. Hare Krishna. Very nice.
Very bold.
I like that. A new phase of progressive life arises.
Very bold. Excellent.
That's a real eloquent person. Okay, let me read this verse again. Very interesting. The misguided materialist does not know that his very body is impermanent and that the attractions of home, land, wealth, which are in relationship to that body, are also temporary. Out of ignorance only, he thinks that everything is permanent. Well, everything is not permanent. That's the truth. Nothing is permanent in the material world. And Krishna says that he is the destroyer of everything. So you cannot say that everything is permanent. Everything is being destroyed. From the moment you're born, your body begins to, let's say, deteriorates. Although you're growing and so forth, but everybody has a certain time for living. So even though one might be a child and is still growing, the child has the karma, and maybe their karma is going to dictate that they're only going to live for 5 years or 10 years. So we don't know when we're going to die, but it's sure that we are going to die and get old, get sick, and die, but it could happen at any time. Therefore, an intelligent person, knowing that, will engage in acts of devotional service. Because that's the only thing that is actually substantive. It has a meaning, it has a value, it has a lasting value. That is devotional service. Everything else, one becomes a millionaire, one becomes a famous person, one is a movie actor and becomes very famous, or one is born with a silver spoon in their mouth, meaning they're born into a rich family. All that is going to be destroyed. Therefore, that's why this verse today says, the misguided materialist does not know that his very body is impermanent and that the attractions of home, land, and wealth, which are in relationship to that body, are also temporary. Out of ignorance only, he thinks that everything is permanent. Purport again, I'm going to read this because it's very important. Purport. The materialist thinks that persons engaged in Krishna consciousness are crazy fellows, wasting time by chanting Hare Krishna. But actually, he does not know that he himself is in the darkest region of craziness because of accepting his body as permanent. And in relation to his body, he accepts his home, his country, his society, and all other paraphernalia as permanent. This country, this society, and all other paraphernalia as permanent. This materialistic acceptance of the permanency of home, land, etc., is called the illusion of Maya. This is clearly mentioned here. Moha Griha Chetra Vasuni. Out of illusion only does the materialist accept his home, his land, and his money as permanent. Out of this illusion, the family life, national life, and economic development, which are very important factors in modern civilization, have grown. A Krishna conscious person knows that this economic development of human society is but a temporary illusion. Now that's a very clear-cut statement. Yeah. Money is an illusory thing. It's only paper. But yet, people are striving day and night to make money. Okay, well, money is something that is illusory. As long as people can buy things with money, they accept it. But sometimes, due to inflation, money loses its value, and they can no longer buy things with it. Therefore, there are countries where their economy becomes so bad that instead of using the money of their country, they get American dollars and use that as the money of that country. So there are countries like that where the money is the money that's printed by the country is so let's say devalued that instead of using the money of the country, they use dollars from the United States to buy things.
Yeah.
So it's all about faith. if the United States has a very powerful army and very powerful economic, let's say, uh, development, has industries, cars, and houses, and all these things, then the money seems to have value. But if a country does not have good government, there's a lot of cheating and lying going on, and people are stealing things, and the police don't protect you, then the money is devalued in a country like that. And therefore, even though that country has minted money, they don't use that money. They only use American dollars because of deflation. Okay, so therefore, that proves that money is illusory. One country's money may lose its valuation, but actually, people lose uh, the their faith in that money, and so instead of using the money of their country, they start using American dollars to buy things. And even the people in that country refuse the the money of that country and insist on being paid in American dollars. Which, in other words, they have more faith in American dollars than faith in the money of their own country. So we see it is a type. It's illusory. That's why it says here. Uh, let's see. This materialistic acceptance of the permanency of home, land, etc., is called the illusion of Maya. This is clearly mentioned here. Moha Kriya Chetra Vasuni. Out of illusion only does the materialist accept his home, his land, and his money as permanent. Out of this illusion, the family life, national life, and economic development, which are very important factors in modern civilization, have grown. A Krishna conscious person knows that this economic development of human society is but temporary illusion. Yeah, I mean, in another part of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the acceptance of the body as oneself, the acceptance of others as kinsmen in relationship to this body, and the acceptance of land of one's birth as worshipable are declared to be the products of an animal civilization. When, however, one is enlightened in Krishna consciousness, he can use these for the service of the Lord. That is a very suitable proposition. Everything has a relationship with Krishna. When all economic development and material advancement are utilized to advance the cause of Krishna consciousness, a new phase of progressive life arises. Very nice statement by Srila Prabhupada. A new phase of progressive life arises. Well, if we look honestly at our country and our life, most of it is illusory, if not all of it is illusory, because people have forgotten Krishna and they're only interested in collecting dollars. The dollars are just pieces of paper, that's all. When there's an economic downturn, the money loses its value, and therefore, even though you have, let's say, $10,000, it may only buy a small amount of food. That's happened when there's devaluation of money due to a lot of cheating and lying. And so what could purchase many things with, let's say, $5 or $10 now hardly purchases anything because of devaluation of the money and the economy. So then you see how impermanent money is. It can fluctuate. The value of money can go up and down, and also it can be almost worthless. Like in World War II, German uh, Deutschmarks, you had to take a barrel, a whole bunch of money just to buy bread. The money became so devalued. Why don't you look that up? In World War II in Germany,
yeah.
the German Deutschmark became so devalued that you had to get hundreds and thousands of Deutschmarks just to eat bread, just to buy bread. Then that country, a country like that, is really in major decline, and the people are suffering because whatever money they had is devalued. Another thing that happens sometimes is because there's so much printing of money, people stop using the money of their country and they start using American dollars because there's so much cheating going on with the money of their country that the money becomes devalued. What does it say?
Yeah, so in 1919 to 23, so a loaf of bread would cost about 250 marks. And by November of 2023, the same loaf cost 200 billion marks.
You have to get a wheelbarrow.
Yeah, like 250 to 200 billion.
Yeah.
Like it's.
You have to get a car or something and carry all those marks to buy some bread. That's how bad the economy of Germany became.
And workers were paid multiple times a day so that they could spend their wages before the prices increased further.
Oh my God. Isn't that crazy? Oh my God. So you see, money is a very illusory thing. Sometimes it has value, sometimes it loses value. So the value of money is determined by the economy and the faith of the people in the economy. If they lose faith in the economy, then they'll use American dollars instead of the money of their own country. In fact, when they go to buy something, the merchants will refuse the money of their country and accept only payment in dollars.
Apparently, children were given these bundles of banknotes, like the marks, as toys and building blocks. Because they is not worth anything.
Because it lost its value. Yeah. Well, there's a very nice positive statement over here. When, however, one is enlightened in Krishna consciousness, he can use these, meaning, all kinds of material things, for the service of the Lord. That is a very suitable proposition. Everything has a relationship with Krishna. And when all economic development and material advancement are utilized to advance the cause of Krishna consciousness, a new phase of progressive life arises. That means there's hope. Even in the most dire situations, there's hope. People simply have to change their, in other words, culture from using things for their sense gratification to using things for the cause of Krishna consciousness. Then a new phase of progressive life arises. I like the way Prabhupada writes. A new phase of progressive life arises. So he says, when all economic development and material advancement are utilized to advance the cause of Krishna consciousness, a new phase of progressive life arises. Well, this is what Krishna consciousness is all about. Develop this new phase of progressive life by using money only in the advancement of Krishna consciousness. Very good point. Very nice point. Okay, text number 4. The living entity, in whatever species of life he appears, finds a particular type of satisfaction in that species, and he is never averse to being situated in such a condition. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The satisfaction of the living entity in a particular type of body, even if it is most abominable, is called illusion. A man in a higher position may feel dissatisfaction with the standard of life of a lower grade man. But the lower grade man is satisfied in that position because of the spell of Maya, the external energy. Maya has two phases of activity. One is called Prishak Atmika. Prashektatmika, yeah. And the other is called Avana Atmika. The Avaranatmika means covering, and Prashektatmika means pulling down. In any condition of life, the materialistic person or animal will be satisfied because his knowledge is covered by the influence of Maya. In the lower grade or lower species of life, the development of consciousness is so poor that one cannot understand whether he is happy or distressed. That is called avaranatmika. Even a hog who lives by eating stool finds himself happy, although a person in a higher mode of life sees that the hog is eating stool. How abominable that life is. Correct. That's absolutely the fact that the pig will eat stool and be satisfied with it, but a human being would never be satisfied. So that means that the hog is in complete state of illusion. So it says here, even a hog who lives by eating stool finds himself happy, although a person in a higher mode of life sees that the hog is eating stool. How abominable that life is. Well, yeah, there are human beings that eat stool. There are types of food that are actually putrefied, but yet still people eat it. Just like some countries, there's this thing called nyat mum. You can look that up. Nyat mum.
Yeah.
It's a type of food.
Vietnamese.
Huh?
Vietnamese.
Yes. What they do is they kill an animal.
It's a fish.
Fish, and then they hang it on a string.
Yes.
And all the liquids that fall down into a pot, they take those liquids, they boil it, and then they eat it. And it smells really bad. Yeah. But they use it like, like some people use ketchup, right, to flavor their food. And the Vietnamese people use nạc mum to, I don't know, flavor their food, I guess. It smells really bad. You could be like, uh, I don't know, in another room, but you can smell it because it's so bad. But people eat it. That means they're really deep in the Maya. So it says, even a hog who lives by eating stool finds himself unhappy, although a person in a higher mode of life sees that the hog is eating stool. How abominable that life is. Well, there are human beings that eat stool. There are types of food that are actually like stool. And when you eat it, you actually, have the smell and the breath of very bad breath and very bad smell of the body because you're actually eating stool. There are different types of food uh, that are really in the mode of ignorance and they smell bad. Okay, there are types of cheeses, for example, that smell terrible, but yet people eat them. They think they're like, special foods. I forget the name of them. There's different types of cheeses that really smell bad, but yet people eat them. And there are other foods that are putrefied, but still people eat them. Foods that have been kept uh, in, uh, in bad situations, like they don't put them in the refrigerator, and then actually you should never eat food that has been put in a refrigerator. That means it's stale. It's not good for your health. You should always eat fresh things. Yeah. So people will take something, put it in a refrigerator, keep it in a refrigerator for sometimes a month, and then eat it. It's a very unhealthy thing to do. We should only eat fresh things.
There are cheeses.
What?
There are cheeses that smell like human sweat.
Oh yeah.
And but still, mostly in Germany and Belgium, they eat that.
It's considered like a delicacy to eat those putrid types of cheeses. That's just a mode of ignorance. When you smell those cheeses, they smell bad, but still people eat it.
So there is one type of cheese, it is actually banned in the public transport in France because it smells so bad.
So here it says, even a hog who lives by eating stool finds himself happy, although a person in a higher mode of life sees that the hog is eating stool. How abominable that life is. But yet, as a human being, some human beings are eating stool like foods. They're putrid, or they smell bad, or they're in serious degree uh, of putrefaction, but still they eat those foods. We should only eat things that are fresh. And definitely not eat meat because then you'll be eating a dead body. And by the way, if you, let's say, I mean, I hope you never do it, but if you kill an animal and then cut open the animal, take away its stool and its guts and everything, right? But don't refrigerate it. The meat will very quickly putrefy. And instead of being red, it turns gray. So if you go to a supermarket and all the meat is gray, you would not buy it. So how can they keep the meat red? Well, they refrigerate it or they use chemicals. So the meat always looks like it is red. So they think, oh, that's good meat, and the meat that looks like it's gray, they say, well, no, that's not good. Don't eat that. So, whether it's gray or red, it's all stool. But people are eating stool. That's why I always ask my question: should I go into a store where they have a meat section? Because everything is contaminated in a place like that. Right? They're selling dead bodies. They're cutting it, the meat, and they're having big refrigerators. And I don't think it's a good idea to eat foods that are in the store where they also sell meat. So that means Whole Foods. They're all about having good food. But actually, how could it be good if they're selling meat there also? It doesn't make sense. So we shouldn't eat anything from a store in which they sell meat. Oh, well, someone said, well, that's only in one part of the store. The vegetables are in a different part of the store. So it's okay that way. But the people that, are handling the food, they also might be touching meat and then handling the vegetables also. So you don't know. You don't know if it's actually clean or not, or if it's actually edible or not. Yeah. So we're living in dangerous times where people do horrible things and think it's all right. Like you go into a supermarket and they have a big meat section, and they have like the vegetable section also. But usually the meat and the vegetables sometimes are kept in the same place, in the same refrigerators. So you can't say that it's pure. Okay, so it says, text number 5. The conditioned living entity is satisfied in its own particular species of life, while deluded by the covering influence of the illusory energy. He feels a little inclined to cast off his body. Let's see. He feels little inclined to cast off his body, even when in hell, for he takes delight in hellish enjoyment. In other words, even in hell, he doesn't want to get rid of his body, which is basically a stool, because he takes delight in hellish enjoyment. That's an amazing statement. It is said that once Indra, the king of heaven, was cursed by his spiritual master, Brihaspati, on account of his misbehavior, and he became a hog on this planet. After many days, when Brahma wanted to recall him to his heavenly kingdom, Indra, in the form of a hog, forgot everything of his royal position in the heavenly kingdom, and he refused to go back. This is the spell of Maya. Even Indra forgot his heavenly standard of life and is satisfied with the standard of a hog's life. By the influence of Maya, the conditioned soul becomes so affectionate toward this particular type of body that if he is offered, give up this body and immediately you will have a king's body, he will not agree. This attachment strongly affects all conditioned living entities. Lord Krishna is personally canvassing. Give up everything in this material world. Come to me, and I shall give you all protection. But we are not agreeable. We think we are all right, that we are quite all right. Why should we surrender unto Krishna and go back to his kingdom? This is called illusion or Maya. Everyone is satisfied with the standard of living, however abominable it may be. Wow. On the other hand, Lord Krishna is personally canvassing. Give up everything in this material world. Come back to me, and I shall give you all protection. But we are not agreeable. We think we are quite all right. Why should we surrender unto Krishna and go back to his kingdom? This is called illusion or Maya. Everyone is satisfied with the standard of living, however abominable it may be. That's the fact, actual truth. Yeah, there was one lady, she was very old and very poor. And she could only earn a living by going out every morning into the forest and picking up twigs that had fallen off trees. And then by the evening, she would have a large bundle of twigs, and she would rope that bent bundle, put it on her back, and, bend over, because it's on her back, and walk back home. Walk back to, she was in the jungle, but then she would walk back and try to sell the wood, in the marketplace to make a little bit of money to buy food. And one day she was walking back after collecting a bundle of twigs on her back, and just thinking how miserable her life was. And at one point, she trips, and a big pack of twigs and wood on her back fall down on the ground, and she starts to cry. Right? And the Yamaraj comes and says, "Oh, you are crying so much now. Come with me." And she said, "Who are you?" But she's on the ground, right? And she can't turn her neck around to see who it is. And he says, "I am your companion." He said, "I don't know who you are. Tell me who you are." And when he says he's Yamaraj, she says, "Go away." He says, "But you're suffering. You can come with me and I'll stop your suffering." She said, "No, no, 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 no. Let me suffer. I don't care. You just go away." So even though she's suffering, she does not want to go under the protection of Yamaraj, right? She wants to stay in her miserable condition. And it is a miserable position. Let's say you're very old and you don't have much money, and all your kids have abandoned you. You don't have many friends, and you still have to work very hard just to make a living. Just imagine what that is like. It's like hell, right? And there are people in that position where their kids have abandoned them, and they still have to keep working really hard to make a living. And after a while, they think, well, it'd be better if I just kill myself than to continue living like this. And they commit suicide. Now, life is so, let's say, convoluted. People can commit suicide when they're in the prime of their life, and because of illusory things that they do, and then they convince themselves it's better to be dead than to be alive. So if you read the newspapers or the news, you'll see sometimes there are very let's say somewhat famous actors, and they're relatively young and they're handsome, and they commit suicide. They can be women, they can be men. Why do you think they commit suicide when they have a whole, uh, you know, a life of opulence in front of them? Because they're frustrated. And why are they frustrated? Because they have no relationship with Krishna. So they think, well, if I kill myself, then my problems will be over. But no, their problem becomes much worse, because if they commit suicide, then they become a ghost. And but they still have the same material desires, gross desires, as when they were alive. So they suffer even more. So suicide is not a solution to suffering. Rather, you're put in a worse position when you commit suicide. Okay, so here it says, the conditioned living entity is satisfied in his own particular species of life, while deluded by the covering influence of the illusory energy. He feels little inclined to cast off his body, even when in hell, for he takes delight in hellish enjoyment. It is said that once Indra, the king of heaven, was cursed by his spiritual master, Brihaspati, on account of his misbehavior, and he became a hog on this planet. After many days, when Brahma wanted to call him to his heavenly kingdom, Indra, in the form of a hog, forgot everything in his royal position in the heavenly kingdom, and he refused to go back. This is the spell of Maya. Even Indra forgets his heavenly standard of life and is satisfied with the standard of a hog's life. By the influence of Maya, the conditioned soul becomes so affectionate toward his particular type of body that he is offered. By the influence of Maya, the conditioned soul becomes so affectionate toward his particular type of body that if he is offered, give up this body and immediately you will have a king's body, he will not agree. This attachment strongly affects all conditioned living entities. Lord Krishna is personally canvassing. Give up everything in this material world. Come to me, and I shall give you all protection. But we are not agreeable. We think we are quite all right. Why should we surrender unto Krishna and go back to his kingdom? This is called the illusion, or Maya. Everyone is satisfied with his standard of living, however abominable it may be. Yeah, it's a fact. Even Brahma, even Lord Brahma, no,
Indra.
Indra,
Indra.
even Indra, he takes the form of a hog and he forgets everything in his royal position in the heavenly kingdom. And Lord Brahma comes and says, okay, it's enough of this hog business. Now you come back to your position. And Indra refuses to go back. That's what's called the spell of Maya. Even Indra forgets his heavenly standard of life and is satisfied with the standard of a hog's life. By the influence of Maya, the conditioned soul becomes so affectionate toward this particular type of body that if he is offered, give up this body and immediately you will have a king's body, he will not agree. This attachment strongly affects all conditioned living entities. Lord Krishna is personally canvassing. Give up everything in this material world. Come to me, and I shall give you all protection. But we are not agreeable. We think we are quite all right. Why should we surrender unto Krishna and go back to his kingdom? This is called illusion or Maya. Everyone is satisfied with a standard of living, however abominable it may be. Text number 6. Such satisfaction with one's standard of living is due to deep-rooted attraction for body, wife, home, children, animals, wealth, and friends. In such association, the conditioned soul thinks himself quite perfect. This so-called perfection in human life is a concoction. Therefore, it is said that the materialist, however materially qualified he may be, is worthless because he is hovering on the mental platform, which will drag him again to material existence of temporary life. One who acts on the mental plane cannot get promotion to the spiritual. Such a person is always sure to glide down again to material life. In the association of so-called society, friendship, and love, the conditioned soul appears completely satisfied. So most people would think, well, society, friendship, and love, that's a good thing. But actually, it's a very bad thing because one becomes, let's say, trapped by Maya to want to be in temporary society, friendship, and love rather than going back to eternal existence in the spiritual world. So he remains very attached to country, birth, to the flag of the country of birth, to the food of the country of birth, to the relatives of the country of birth, to all these things he's attached. And if he's asked to give it all up and go back to the spiritual world, he'll say, no, I don't want to go. I want to stay. Even if there's suffering, it's no, I'd rather suffer than go back to the spiritual world. Okay. In the association of so-called society, friendship, and love, the conditioned soul appears completely satisfied. Okay, so this society, friendship, and love, it sounds good, but it's bad. It's Maya. Why? Because all those three things are going to be temporary. The society you're living in, the friendship you have, and the so-called love you have, all of those three things are going to be annihilated over time. And then someone will say, well, what about Krishna consciousness then? That's also going to be destroyed. Answer, no. Krishna consciousness is something that is eternal, not going to be destroyed. Krishna guarantees that. But these other things, like society, friendship, and love, they're all going to be destroyed over time. One who acts on the mental plane cannot get promotion to the spiritual. Such a person is always sure to glide down again to material life. In the association of so-called society, friendship, and love, the conditioned soul appears completely satisfied. Society, friendship, and love. Those three things are temporary. And it's not really love, it's lust. Right? So very quickly, all those things will be annihilated, and they end up with nothing except their bad karma. And now they're going to suffer for enjoying sense gratification. By the way, there is a rule of nature that if you engage in sense gratification, it will always be followed by misery. Now, if you explain that to someone, they won't believe it. They say, no, I'm very happy, I don't believe that. But yet, it is a fact of nature that whenever there's sense gratification, it's always followed by misery. Okay, so then text number 7. And Srimad Bhagavatam says, although he is always burning with anxiety, such a fool always performs all kinds of mischievous activities with a hope which is never to be fulfilled in order to maintain his so-called family and society. Wow. Okay. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. It is said that it is easier to maintain a great empire than to maintain a small family, especially in these days when the influence of Kali Yuga is so strong that everyone is harassed and full of anxieties because of accepting the false presentation of Maya's family. The family we maintain is created by Maya. It is the perverted reflection of the family in Krishna Loka. In Krishna Loka, there are also family, friends, society, father and mother. Everything is there, but they are eternal. Here, as we change bodies, our family relationships also change. Sometimes we are in a family of human beings, sometimes in a family of demigods, sometimes a family of cats, or sometimes a family of dogs. Family, society, and friendship are flickering, and so they are called asat. It is said that as long as we are attracted to this asat, temporary, non-existing society and family, we are always full of anxieties. Yeah, you always hear these politicians say, well, the most important thing in my life is family. After they're caught having illicit sex, and they say, well, the most important thing for me is my family. As if that's the, panacea for all suffering. But no, it's suffering also. The materialists do not know that the family, society, and friendship here in this material world are only shadows, and thus they become attached. Naturally, their hearts are always burning, but in spite of all inconvenience, they still work to maintain such false families because they have no information of the real family association with Krishna. So there was once a man who had a very nice family. And he also had a friend who was a devotee. So every time the devotee would see his friend who was, completely in a state of illusion with his family, he would preach to him and tell him, look, your children are grown. You're an older man now. You should come with me and engage in Krishna consciousness. And he said, well, I'm not quite ready yet. So every time he would go to see that man, he would say, well, yeah, I'm still thinking about it. And then one time he goes, and the man was dead. He could never break his attachment to his family. But what is a family? I mean, we've had many families, right? So the real family is Achyuta Gotra. That means we're in Krishna's family. Now, that is the internal family. But all these other families, they're all temporary. They have a beginning and they have an end. Where Achyuta Gotra has no beginning and no end. So the real family is Krishna's family. But no, they're not interested in that. They want the mundane family. The materialists do not know that the family, society, and friendship here in this material world are only shadows. What's a shadow? Well, it represents something that actually exists, but when, like the shadow of your hand, say like this is the shadow of my hand, right? There's light behind me, and I can see my hand as a shadow. But when I try and shake hands with the shadow, there's nothing there, right? So that's why it's saying here, the materialists do not know that the family, society, and friendship here in this material world are only shadows. That means they're shadows of things that actually exist in the spiritual world. But in the material world, they're only shadows. They do not have substantive existence. And thus they become attached. Naturally, their hearts are always burning, but in spite of all inconvenience, they still work to maintain such false families because they have no information of the real family association with Krishna. Well, there is a real family. That's the family of Krishna because it's eternal. And the other families, and we've been in many families already, in different species also. Like dogs have families, cats have families, lions have families, all kinds of different families. But when you're in Krishna's family, then you have eternal life. When you're in the dog's family, well, it might look good, but it's not good. And people say it's a dog's life. They're implying that the dogs have a life full of suffering. And it's a fact, they do suffer a lot. So we should not strive to have a dog's life. We should strive to have a Krishna conscious life. So the main statement here is family, society, and friendship are flickering, meaning they're temporary. And so they are called asat. It is said that as long as we are attached to this asat, temporary, non-existing society and family, we are always full of anxieties. The materialists do not know that the family, society, and friendship here in this material world are only shadows, and thus they become attached. Naturally, their hearts are always burning, but in spite of all inconvenience, they still work to maintain such false families because they have no information of the real family association with Krishna. Yeah, when I was a kid, we had an extended family. A lot of cousins, and well, first of all, the Seminole family. Brothers, sisters, and then uncles and aunties, oh, the whole thing. And then little by little, they start dying. Right? 'Cause right now, I don't have any family members left. There's only one person, and I never see her. And she lives in New York, and she's very old now. Everybody else is dead. So if I want to see my family, I have to go to the cemetery and look at their, uh, you know, uh, their burial ground, right? So therefore, the whole idea of family is illusory. However, when you join Achyuta Gotra, Krishna's family, that's eternal. But all the other families, they're just temporary. So at one point, you'll end up with everybody died. I'm the last one in that family. Right? So in my family, I'm the last one. Everybody, all my relatives, they're all dead. Mother and father and all the other relatives, they're all dead. And one time I asked my mother, I said, Mom, I'll take you back where you were born. And that was in Turkey, right? And she said, No, I don't want to go. I said, Why not? She said, What am I going to do there? Everybody's dead. She was right. Why should she go back and just see things that from her past time, from her past life, but the people, they're not there anymore. And all the houses that, or the house that they lived in, somebody else is living in that house now, right? So there's no reason to go back and see because they're all dead. Therefore, it says here, uh, in Krishna Loka, there are also family, friends, society, father, and mother. Everything is there, but they are eternal. Here, as we change bodies, our family relationships also change. Sometimes we are in a family of human beings, sometimes in a family of demigods, sometimes in a family of cats, or sometimes a family of dogs. Family, society, and friendship are flickering. So they are called asat. It is said that as long as we are attached to this asat, temporary, non existing society and family, we are always full of anxieties. The materialists do not know that the family, society, and friendship here in this material world are only shadows, and thus they become attached. Naturally, their hearts are always burning, but in spite of all inconvenience, they still work to maintain such false families because they have no information of the real family association with Krishna. Or shadow. What is a shadow? Well, here's a shadow. You can see my hand is here, but because the light is behind me, I can see the shadow of my hand on this book. Now, if I try to shake the hand of the shadow, there's nothing there. But the shadow implies, or it's it does uh, uh, indicate there is a real hand somewhere. But the hand that we see in this as a shadow, it has no real existence. Well, the shadow exists, but it has no. You can try and shake hands with that hand, but there will not be anything there. So actually, most people are living in shadows, uh, dealing only with things that are temporary, not even having an idea of eternal existence. So, and the whole idea of the family, especially the extended family, where there's many, many people in that family, right? many uncles and aunties and children and grandchildren and so forth. It's all Maya because as time goes on, they all die. And then it can be that you're the last person in that family that's still living. And then you realize, you look back, you have all the photos that you took of family life, and you look at it, and here's with my auntie, and here's my mother, here's my father, here's my cousin. They're all dead. All you have is just a photo. That's it, and you're alone. Everybody in my family's dead. And the house I was born in, there's somebody else living there now. So there's no reason for me to go back and see the house, right? And the store that my family had, somebody else owns it now. So, however, I'm in a spiritual family now, and that is I'll never lose the spiritual family. Right? Even if I die, I'll still go to the spiritual world with my spiritual family. But the material family, I'll always be changing my material family. In one lifetime, I'm a human being. In another lifetime, I could be a dog. So all those families are temporary, but the spiritual family is eternal. So that's what we should aim for, to be part of the spiritual family, Krishna's family, Achyuta Gotra. By the way, I mean, if you're going to do some puja, and the Pandit says, "What is your Gotra?" What do you say? You should say Achyuta Gotra, Krishna's family. Some people say, this family, that family. But no, our real family is Achyuta Gotra, Krishna's family. The materialists do not know that the family, society, and friendship here in this material world are only shadows, and thus they become attached. Naturally, their hearts are always burning. But in spite of all inconvenience, they still work to maintain such false families because they have no information of the real family association with Krishna. Well, Prabhupada had a family also. He had a wife. He had 5 children. Right? He gave it all up. And only one of his children was somewhat favorable to Prabhupada. Right? He was always trying to help that one son. I met him also. One time I was on a bus with him going from going to Mayapur. He's a very nice man, very, very nice man. And he was the only member of Prabhupada's family that was still connected to Prabhupada. All the other members of his family, they more or less were not interested in Prabhupada, even his own wife. And his wife was not a demon. She was just like a regular Hindu, and she drank tea. So, uh, and I did see some of Prabhupada's relatives. One time, a friend of mine took me to a shop, and it was a close relative of Prabhupada. And he had a big picture on the wall. It was his shop, and he had people working there. Right? It was a big table, and there were a whole bunch of people, and they were doing something, for the business. And there was a big picture of a Mayavadi on the wall. And my friend who took me there to see Prabhupada's relative, he asked the relative, how come you have such a big picture of my body? Why don't you have a picture of Prabhupada? He said, oh no, it's not for me. It's for my workers. Very clever answer. Right? So he didn't put the picture of his father, right? Put the picture of all my bodies, and he said, "Well, it's for the workers. I do that." Yeah. All right. So this verse says, although he's always burning with anxiety, such a fool always performs all kinds of mischievous activities with a hope which is never to be fulfilled in order to maintain his so-called family and society. So therefore, there's a statement, it's hope after hope. In other words, people live with hope after hope. In other words, they never really attain what they hope, but they keep hoping for things that are not going to really happen or will have no real substance. And here it says, it is said that it is easier to maintain a great empire than to maintain a small family, especially in these days when the influence of Kali Yuga is so strong that everyone is harassed and full of anxieties because of accepting the false presentation of Maya's family. And I like that. He says, the false presentation of Maya's family. The family we maintain is created by Maya. It is the perverted reflection of the family in Krishna Loka. In Krishna Loka, there are also family, friends, society, father and mother. Everything is there, but they are eternal. Here, as we change bodies, our family relationships also change. Yeah, because either they go away or they die, and then you can never see them. Sometimes we are in a family of human beings, sometimes in a family of demigods, sometimes a family of cats, and sometimes a family of dogs. Family, society, and friendship are flickering, and so they are called asat. It is said that as long as we are attached to this asat, temporary, non-existing society, family, we are always full of anxiety. The materialists do not know that the family, society, and friendship here in this material world are only shadows, and thus they become attached. Naturally, their hearts are always burning, but in spite of all inconvenience, they still work to maintain such false families because they have no information of the real family association with Krishna. Well, there was this one devotee who was very much of a fanatic. And he told his father and mother, he said, if you don't surrender everything you have to Guru Deva, you're no longer my father and mother. Now, it really, hurt the father and mother. They had, they were older, and he said, you have to come, and mom will sleep with the brahmacharis, and dad will sleep with the brahmacharis, and you'll live like that for the rest of your life. So they couldn't do that. Right? And he was always saying, well, if you don't do this, then you're no longer my mother and father. So they were like bewildered, why their son was so adamant and so fanatical, right? So what happened? Over time, the son blooped, became a karmi again, and the mother and father became devotees and regularly coming to the temple and doing devotional service. And the son became a karmi, never came back to Krishna consciousness. So that's what happens to the fanatics, right? They always put these, they try and scare you, by saying, well, it's either this or there's nothing, right? And because they're so fanatical, eventually they become overwhelmed by their own fanaticism and they become bewildered. So this boy, who was a fanatic, very smart, very well educated, everybody was a fanatic. He, told his mother and father, unless you come in mom, you live in the women's dormitory, and dad, you live with the brahmacharis, and you completely surrender and take initiation, or else you're not my mother or father anymore. So they were not able to do that, right? And then as time went on, he blooped, and the mother and father became very loyal servants of Krishna consciousness. They didn't move into the ashram, but they would come all the time and do seva in the temple. And eventually they took initiation also. And the boy, he blooped. Okay. I like this statement in this verse. It says, although he's always burning with anxiety, such a fool always performs all kinds of mischievous activities with a hope which is never to be fulfilled, in order to maintain his so-called family and friends. I like that statement, with a hope which is never to be fulfilled. And he's such a fool, always performs all kinds of mischievous activities with a hope which is never to be fulfilled, in order to maintain his so-called family and society. And the statement here is very interesting. It is said that it is easier to maintain a great empire than to maintain a small family, especially in these days when the influence of Kali Yuga is so strong that everyone is harassed and full of anxiety because of accepting the false presentation of Maya's family. The family we maintain is created by Maya. It is the perverted reflection of the family in Krishna Loka. In Krishna Loka, there are also families in society, father and mother. Everything is there, but they are eternal. Here, as we change bodies, our family relationships also change. Sometimes we are in a family of human beings, sometimes in a family of demigods, sometimes a family of cats, or sometimes a family of dogs. Family, society, and friendship are flickering, and so they are called asat. It is said that as long as we are attached to this asat, temporary, non-existing society and family, we are always full of anxieties. The materialists do not know that family, society, and friendship here in this material world are only shadows, and thus they become attached. Naturally, their hearts are always burning, but in spite of all inconvenience, they still work to maintain such false families because they have no information of the real family association with Krishna. Well, even myself, there's only one family member that's still alive, but she's a cousin. She's not like father and mother or anything like that. And I never see her. Sometimes, very rarely, she might send me a Christmas card or something like that. So, what does it mean to have a family? Right? There's only one real family, that's Achyuta Gotra, Krishna's family, because it's eternal. All the other families are temporary. We've had many families, many fathers, many mothers, many aunties and uncles, in all different species of life. But the real family is Achyuta Gotra, Krishna's family, because that's eternal. That's the family we should be really interested in. Now, in a family where all the members of the family are Krishna conscious, then it's not Maya.
Right.
But if you're in a family where, almost all the family members are in Maya, and you're the only one that's a devotee, well, that's not really your family anymore. They adamantly refuse to become devotees. So what can you do? Can't do anything. So there was once a boy. He had a false guru, and the false guru would always take his disciples out on a hot sunny day, and he would give them heavy stones to carry. And they would be suffering in the hot sun carrying those heavy stones. And sometimes they would be on one side of the river, and the other side of the river, the whole group of Hare Krishna devotees chanting and dancing and happy, right? They were not carrying heavy rock, and they were having prasadam and chanting and dancing. And the boy was thinking, well, maybe I should throw off all these rocks, jump into the river and swim on the other side and join the others. But the guru said, no, don't do that. They're not, they're all just fools and rascals. You have to stay here on this side and carry the rocks. Finally, one boy said, wait a minute, I'm sick and tired of carrying the rocks in this hot sun. Just threw the rocks down, jumped into the river, joined a group of devotees. They were having a festival, a nice prasadam, and chanting and dancing. But yet, all the other boys continued to carry the rocks, and their so-called guru kept telling them, no, don't go there. They're very bad people. They eat babies. You don't want to associate with them. So even though they saw the happiness and the joy of the devotees, they stayed away. But that one person, he said, well, I'm not going to carry these rocks anymore. I'm not going to suffer in this hot sun. I'm going to jump in the river and join them. So that's the type of decision you have to make. And it's a hard decision. Some people are so attached to their body that they refuse to join Krishna consciousness. So they want to maintain their relationship with their mundane family. But when you become a devotee, you don't reject your family, but you'll try to help your family become Krishna conscious. So sometimes while I was still, some of my family members are still alive, I would go to see them and cook prasadam for them and share the prasadam with them. And they would appreciate it. And so at least they had some prasadam. And I would explain to them how it's really important to give up eating meat and engaging in other sinful activities. So they would listen to me. They would sometimes appreciate, but they never actually became devotees, unfortunately. But they did have prasadam, and they did chant Hare Krishna. My mother chanted Hare Krishna, and my brother, one of my brothers, chanted Hare Krishna. And they had prasadam also that I cooked for them. So there's hope that they'll have a spiritual body, a spiritual life, and even after they die. So it says here, the family we maintain is created by Maya. It is the perverted reflection of the family in Krishna Loka. In Krishna Loka, there are also family, friends, society, father, and mother. Everything is there, but they are eternal. Here, as we change bodies, our family relationships also change. Sometimes we are in a family of human beings, sometimes in a family of demigods, sometimes a family of cats, or sometimes a family of dogs. Family, society, and friendship are flickering, and so they are called asad, temporary, non-existent, non-existent society and family. We are always full of anxiety. The materialists do not know that the family, society, and friendship here in this material world are only shadows, and thus they become attached. Naturally, their hearts are always burning, but in spite of all inconvenience, they still work to maintain such false families because they have no information of the real family association with Krishna. Well, that's what Prabhupada taught us. There's a family of devotees, and that family of devotees is eternal. We have families also, mothers and fathers, but it's not eternal. But we can help our mothers and fathers and relatives become devotees. Now they'll be in association with eternal Krishna consciousness. So that should be our purpose, to be kind to our family members, not to reject them, but to try to help them become Krishna conscious. I had one uncle, he was a demon. He rejected anything related to Krishna. And I would try and give him prasadam, he would refuse to eat it. So then I stopped seeing him because every time I'd see him, he tried to convince me to give up Krishna consciousness. Really sad. What happened a couple of years later, he was dead. Whereas he had a chance to become Krishna conscious. I would bring prasadam. He would never accept to eat it. Really sad. Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. I think our takeaway today is the family we maintain is created by Maya. It is the perverted reflection of the family in Krishna Loka. In Krishna Loka, there are also family, friends, society, father, and mother. Everything is there, but they are eternal. Here, as we change bodies, our family relationships also change. So that's our takeaway. We should join Achita Gotra, Krishna's family. That's an eternal family. Every one of us has the opportunity to do that. Everybody has the opportunity to do that. So we should join Krishna's family, chant Hare Krishna, eat only prasadam, dance, and be happy. Chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna,
Hare Rama,
Hare Ram, Rama
Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Mahamantra ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Krishna's family ki jai, Hare Bol. Achyuta Gotra, family of Krishna. Okay, thank you very much. So today is January 21, Tuesday.